In the 1700s, there was this puzzle. Why are there marine fossils, fish and the sort, on the top of mountains? Like, how did they get there? So in those days, science was usually done by curious amateurs. They were the people who had time and money to think about problems. And one of those people was James Hutton. So James owned this farm, and it was while he was on that farm that he noticed something. James knew that soil was created when rocks were eroded by the rain, and that soil was constantly being washed away by the rain and carried away by streams and rivers, where it was dumped in other places. And so James was thinking about this, and he was like, well, if that process happened again and again and again and again, eventually the earth would be completely flat. And of course it's not. So James knew there had to be some other process that pushed up mountains and hills. It was this mysterious process, James thought, that lifted fossils up to the top of mountains. So 200 years later, we would finally understand this idea of plate tectonics. And today, we think of James Hutton as being the founder of modern geology. But it wouldn't be until 200 years after his death that we really understood what he was saying. Because when he was alive, we couldn't understand a darn word he said. In 1785, James wrote a paper about his ideas, and he was going to present it to the Royal Society of Edinburgh. Let me read you a section from his paper. In the one case, the forming cause is in the body, which is separated for after the body has been actuated by heat. It is by the reaction of the proper matter of the body that the chasm which constitutes the vein is formed. In the other case, again, I know, it's unreadable. And the people in the audience, they were experts of the time, and even they were baffled. But James, either he was not put off or no one told him, I don't know, but he spent the next decade writing 2 volumes about his work. They ended up being around 2,000 pages, but they had exactly the same problem as his talk. It was completely confusing. This is how Bill Bryson explained it. Hutton's theory of Earth is a strong candidate for the least read important book in science, or at least it would be if there weren't so many others. Even Charles Lyell, the greatest geologist of the following century, and a man who read everything, admitted he couldn't get through it. The physicist Max Planck had this quote where he says, "Science advances one funeral at a time." And that's true here. When Hutton died in 1799, his friend John Playfair rewrote his work. And so 5 years later, his book simplified Hutton's ideas. It was called Illustrations of the Hutton Theory of the Earth. And it's thanks to that book that James Hutton's ideas about plate tectonics could finally be spread. So the idea is that good ideas don't speak for themselves. Ideas are wonderful, but they are useless unless people can understand it. For ideas to be useful, they have to be explained clearly.